And we are live. What's up, everybody?
Yo,
Welcome
yo.
tonight.
How you guys doing?
Hope everybody's doing well. There's been a lot going on in this hobby right now. We got some
Jeez.
really interesting topics to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about some card altering. We're going to talk about vending at card shows and probably talk a little bit about PSA since they just dropped some news on us last night. But we got a special guest with us today. We got MagneMike, TCG. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's a vendor. We know him kind of through Pika Pika Papa's Discord channel. We got to know him for, it seems like a couple of years now, the three of us.
It probably has been a couple of years now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So excited to have him on the channel with us. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. It's cool to be here. It's cool to like have a, as close as a face-to-face conversation as we've been able to get after talking to you guys over Discord for the last several years.
I agree.
This is
No doubt.
and happy to be here.
I agree. He's winking just like the thumbnail. Nice.
Yeah, I might have to get you a new pic of me at some point.
I definitely need some new pictures of Deej for sure. I got to work on the thumbnails a little bit more for this, but
yes, Brain, there are two redheads in the chat tonight.
Oh yeah.
You know, that is actually extremely rare when you think about it.
It really is.
My brother is actually a redhead, so I know how rare that recessive gene is for sure. I just surround myself with redheads, apparently.
Hey, there's maybe something to that.
Maybe. Cool. All right. Well, just to get things started off, we're going to kind of jump into card altering first. I think this is the spicy topic of the evening. We kind of Deej and I tend to sit probably on a similar side of the aisle for how we think about this topic. A little bit differently than Mike thinks about it, but Mike actually released a video recently about card altering. And I was kind of wondering, Mike, if you could maybe just give a little bit of a synopsis of what you found from that video before we dive into it.
Yeah, for sure. It was an interesting video. It was an interesting experience for me.
It was really good.
Basically, thank you. It was an interesting conversation because I think what made me think about it was like we started talking about it in the Discord, and for me, in my experience, like, I might not be the best, like, I guess devil's advocate for card alteration and restoration. Like, I'm not going to fight you guys tooth and nail, but I didn't really think there was an issue with it, because I guess just in my personal experience, like, there was never an interaction with a customer or another vendor where they were like, I had this issue with, I tried to sell this restored card and somebody gave me a problem. And I'm not, obviously I'm sure that stuff might happen sometimes, but I guess just anecdotally, I never experienced it myself. Granted, I never really tried to sell restored cards because, it is a slippery slope. And I guess I just never really got into it. There's a few people here locally in Austin that do it almost like full time, like it's their thing, right? And they do pretty good, and they've always kind of been viewed as like respectable people, not like some back alley, type of individual. So I guess just for me, like and when you guys made your points, like I totally understood what you were saying. I kind of like learned a lot just from going through this. But anyways, just to get into the video, like talking with you guys, I put up a survey in a few different Discords. I thought that was really interesting. The one server that was like mostly resellers, like they didn't seem to care at all. They're like, we don't need any transparency, right? Which I thought was kind of surprising. And then I posted on my Instagram story and let people respond, which were mostly vendors, some collectors. And I think the anonymity allowed people to be kind of honest. Like the one guy was just like, I'll tell him not to grade it, but that's about it. So it was interesting. And I think what I really learned from that is that there are a lot of different opinions. Like, I don't think it's black and white, but I do think some people feel really strongly about it. Like the one person on Discord compared it to a resealed booster box, which I thought was a pretty strong comparison. So yeah, it was a really interesting learning experience for me. Just hearing different takes. Me as a collector, I still don't feel super strong about it, but I think there's a lot of nuance, right? There's like, um, is the card being, are there new materials or like foreign substances being added to the card, versus like just a cleaning or like some humidification or whatever. Like you know, I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but yeah, I
Yeah.
guess just the TLDR.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just plug your video. Like, I think it was you did an excellent job surveying kind of a variety of different opinions, and you gave some of your own opinion as well. But I think it was also just, regardless of where you land on this spectrum, it was interesting just to see a survey of what everybody's saying. So
Mhm.
I definitely think people should go check out your videos. We'll make sure to link your channel in the description. I think it's already in the description of this video, but if not, I'll make sure it's in there for sure. Definitely go check out his channel, guys.
Definitely
And
worth
check
a
out
watch.
that recent video. It's really worth seeing. Um,
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just thought you did a great job of just remaining pretty neutral, at least for the first half. I mean, it was a longer video, but I mean, I was wrapped with attention the whole time. And then, well, you kind of stated your opinion at the beginning, and then you said all the other opinions, and then you kind of where you ended where you landed opinion wise. And I thought it was a really well made video. It was like a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I mean, when you can get a lot of different data and input, I think it makes for a more cohesive story. And there was a lot of people arguing in the comments, which I'm sure you guys might have seen. So it definitely created some
That's part of
discussion.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for views on your channel, that's for sure. When you get all the comments going crazy,
Yeah.
YouTube loves that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I thought one thing we could do, because I think there's a lot of ways that we can take this conversation, but I think it might be good for us just to kind of talk about how we would define card altering. Like, I think
For sure.
I kind of think about, well, there's cleaning, there's actually, like you're saying, there's adding material or adding substances, there's polishing, there's the flattening, people put them between those like vices and press them, they humidify them a lot of times before they do that. There's like pulling dents out of cards, there's creases, and I don't know how they do all the magic to try to get those out. There's like stretching the surface of the card. Some people even go as crazy enough to like pull the whole entire surface of the card, put it back on. I think you talked about that in
Wow.
your video.
I've never seen
I've
that.
heard of clipping corners. That's been around for years. Or inking the corners to try to get rid of the white dots. So it's like, what do we want to call, how do we want to define all this stuff? Because there is a spectrum, right? And there is like a difference between a lot of these things.
Yeah, I think some baseline vocabulary would be really good for this conversation just to understand. Like when I'm watching people talk about it, they'll say cleaning when they're really meaning like like using wax to like get the scratches out of the hollow. Like to me, that doesn't really mean cleaning. That's more of repairing.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a scratch out of the car. That's not really like cleaning. To me, cleaning would be like dust or dirt that's on the car that can be easily wiped off with like a rag and water or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like glasses cleaner, something I've used to like give it a little, I don't know, just to get like little dirt specks off. But oftentimes those cards are already like super, they're not like clean anyways.
Yep.
Not
A lot of
cards I'm
times
going to
those
be
are
trying
not
to
going to
break
get
for a
sent off
10.
to PSA. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like cards I'm just trying to be courteous to somebody I'm selling on TCG Player. Like they probably don't want this dirt on it. Let me get that off, Like to me, that's what cleaning is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
about
certain
you
I've cleaned
guys?
actual boogers off of cards.
There's been some
I
stuff-
mean, thinking about that, a lot of these WotC hollows came from like kids' collections. I'm like, I think that was a booger.
Yikes.
Yeah. No, I really liked I think the way one of you guys put it in the initial chat we had was like the idea of cleaning and restoring versus like adding new things, like adding in something that maybe isn't necessarily a part of the card before, right? And I do think it's interesting because like some of the cleaning material, like you said, has wax in it, and sometimes they leave the hollow so shiny that it almost looks inauthentic. It's like too shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what PSA like. It might go. It might vary from grader to grader whether or not they can spot that stuff. But I do feel like they're getting better at it because, like I said, I want to try to keep anonymity. But there was a guy who I know has restored stuff and graded it. And recently he graded a card for somebody. And I knew that he restored it because this guy was originally going to grade the card with me. I was going to send it in for him. Then he said, actually, I want to get it worked on first. And I was like, okay, sure. So he got it worked on, graded it himself, and it got an altered label. BGS labeled it as altered. And at that point, it's like, you might as well just crack it open, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You said BGS?
Yeah, BGS.
Okay. I know some people that have done it in the past too, and they talk about like the smell. Like when you can't smell the wax anymore, then they think it's clean enough to send. So I don't know if the graders are like smelling it or what's going
I think
on.
I've heard they are smelling it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess just like for defining it for me, I guess alteration is kind of that thing where it's adding additional material. I think, but I do think like the cleaning material really varies based on who you talk to. Is that cleaning or is it altering, right? But like I said, like I think sometimes the hollows look so shiny that it's like that looks better than it probably did, or I don't know if I'd say better, but
right out
more reflective than it does like right when you pull it out of the pack. So
yeah.
Well,
I mean, a lot of those Watsy vintage hollows had little hairline like scratches in the hollow, right out of the pack. I mean, that was like the vast majority of them would have stuff like that, which that was part of the reason why getting 10s on so many of those old hollows was so hard. Is that even if you could get good centering and the corners all intact and the edges all good and well cut, usually there was some faint little line in the hollow just from the printing process, the handling process, the rollers, all that stuff. So yeah, the thing about this is, well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but if you can meaningfully polish something to the point where it's actually better than it even was out of the pack, you're really the card is not even being brought up to what it once was. It's being brought up to something completely different,
Yeah.
At that point,
vacation, right?
I tend to think of cleaning probably more on the light side, like Dee's just saying, usually it's like a microfiber cloth, little water. Occasionally, maybe you might use something a little bit stronger. But again, for that, if I'm really getting gunk off a card, I'm not sending that thing to any grader. Like it's a pretty cooked card at that point, It's usually the light stuff. It's like, what? It's like somebody's spit got stuck on there or something. You just wipe it off real quick with some water and it's gone. You know what I mean? It sits on that outer wax layer. I don't have any problem with that. I think people have been doing that since the beginning of the hobby. You know what I mean? But then you get into adding waxes, polishing, clipping corners, changing the structural structure of the card, I guess. That was horrible vocabulary, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if something was creased and now it looks like it's not, I mean, the internal of that card is still altered permanently because of the crease, right? It's not like you're actually returning it to a pre-crease card. You're just making it look like
that's
creased.
That's the part that I think is so dangerous about it, is like at some microscopic level, like there still has to be some altering of the atoms, like I don't know, somebody would be able to tell at some level, like once you go deep enough, it's got to be slightly different. Like to the human eye, sure, maybe not. You might get it past a grader. So let me ask you this, MagneMike. So you said you look at altering and repairing as adding something. So removing a crease, I assume they have to add some kind of soaking material. Or I don't know, maybe those flattening devices do actually just flatten it without even adding anything.
Yeah.
So would you consider that not altering?
So it's like I want to give a simple answer. I think what they mostly do is
It's so nuanced.
yeah, like they take. I did watch a video. I'm not. I don't restore, but I did watch a video once where I think it was somebody explaining how to use Kurt's card care, and there's like two foam pieces, and you basically like spray them with like this like I think it's like a mostly water chemical substance, and you like clamp the card between those two, so it adds some moisture to kind of like just like loosen out
Soften it.
yeah, like soften out the crease. So I think that's like a kind of a like whether or not it's okay, I guess depends on what the intention of the card is. Like I think if you're doing that and reselling it, I think the ethically responsible thing to do as a vendor is to like let people know that you did that. For me personally, I don't really see the card as, if a crease has just been taken out, I don't see the card as any less authentic for myself. So if it's like a collection, if it's a card in a collection and I pay somebody, like if it's a binder copy and I pay somebody to get a crease out, like I personally am comfortable with that. But I do understand like when you go to sell the card, being transparent and letting them know that like this was done to it, and probably should offer that information up while you're talking about it and not only if they ask, right?
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about it. But once you get into like clipping corners and inking like that, like I'm not I want that in my collection. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's a line, and that line probably varies depending on who you talk about. Like some people, there's probably no line; they don't want any kind of alteration. Some people are like, "Hey, do whatever you want if it's gonna look better." I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it really just depends on kind of like how it's valued, because I guess just like adding humidity to something doesn't change the material for me. I mean, it does put it through a chemical process, but yeah, I guess it really just depends on who you ask. So I guess my question for you guys would be like, is the bigger issue you know the alteration slash restoration itself, or is it just the lack of transparency in the market around it that is like the big problem?
You
For
want to
me,
start
it's
with Deesh?
yeah, sure. For me, it's definitely just the act of being deceitful. Like a lot of those people in your reseller, people should still go watch your video, but like you were saying, the reseller Discord, they were like completely fine with it. Like, yeah, because they're profiting off of it, they're going to defend their stance on it to me. Because it just, to me, it comes down to this simple logic question, which I asked you, and I respect that you answered it honestly. If you had two of the exact same cards, Black Label, base set Charizard, they are the same price, same everything. One is labeled as altered and one isn't. Which one do you want to buy to spend $300,000 on?
Yeah, the one that hasn't been altered.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
100%.
So like,
Collectors
if
love
you're not
originality.
putting that information in the title to get the most money, like that's wrong.
Yeah.
And you had the best analogy. I don't know if it was you that came up with it or somebody, but like you can't sell a refurbished product as new. Like that is literally illegal. Like if people are doing this, like to me, it's actually illegal because you're refurbishing something and not saying anything about it. Especially when you're doing it for monetary gain. Like I have tried to straighten some really curved water damaged cards for my binder, and they're not like necessarily cheap cards.
Yeah.
They're still super bent. It did not work, but I am not against it if people are honest. Like who cares? Like it's not illegal to try and repair your own cards. It's just when you try and sell it and profit that I just have a huge problem with it. Like it scares, like it makes me not buy slabs, honestly. Like I do not trust other people at all. And I got into it with somebody who puts out YouTube videos about it. And he was like, well, 95% of cards out there are getting altered and stuff, so you get used to it. And I was like, if that's true, like that's extremely sad, first of all.
I agree.
And second of all, like it just makes me not want to buy slabs. Like to me, it's really dangerous for the PSA slab market overall.
I agree.
Like it is really interesting right now because like newer certs like 10 and up are kind of seen as like a premium because that's sort of seen as when PSA became more strict, right? If it's like a 10, 11, 12, 13 cert, it's kind of, more desired, I guess. But that makes you wonder, like a vintage card, like if it's WotC, like, and it just got graded, like, was it?
This is something I really wanted to talk about because, I mean, all three of us have been in the hobby for a long time. The quantity of vintage cards that are popping up in high grades constantly over the past year, to me, is alarming. And they're all in brand new certs, like freshly graded, boom, hitting the auction. I'm just like, where did all these magic, super well preserved cards come from? Because
oh man,
shoot,
you're back.
You're back.
That was weird. Let me see if I can. There we go. Let me just position us. There we go. That was weird. Sorry about that. But no, like you look at like people, like for instance, Jim Mint Pokémon, who's been around in the hobby, like never really left, kind of just was always in it. Maybe was out for a short period of time, but like that guy's super deep into the hobby. And, I've heard in interviews him say, he's like, man, back in, the early days when we were all getting back into it, when everybody was coming back in, that first wave of like really serious collectors, he says, we were ripping the boxes and we were taking all of the best copies and sending them. And so it's like, so where are these new ones coming from? I mean, sure, Whatnot's ripping some old school boxes, and I'm sure that's supplying some of them. But like the quantity I'm seeing, like the number of shining Gyarados that I've seen hit the market, first edition PSA 8, first edition PSA 9 with new certs, I'm like, where are all these copies coming from? That makes me way nervous. Like I feel like those were probably PSA 7s at best if they had been sent in without modification, and they've probably had some work done. And
like even English cards, like straight out of the pack, like we talked about earlier, like it's very hard to get a 10 without, like, I think with a little bit of repairing, you could probably have a way better chance. And it's hard not to believe that's happening.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I guess I say that all to say is like for someone like me who really genuinely wants a card that has not been altered, not touched, not messed with, and especially has never had a crease, it's very disturbing. I trust the new certs way less than the old certs, to the point where I'll see vintage cards pop up with new certs and I'm just like, pass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will wait until an older cert will come up, because back then it wasn't profitable enough to do all these shenanigans that we're doing now. And I kind of have to tend to agree with Deej that this is really being driven by money, and people are justifying it because they're making a profit off of it. If they couldn't fool PSA, they wouldn't be doing it. And PSA, if PSA detects it, they'll reject your card. So to me, that right there already shows that it's not ethical, like in the sense that people are submitting these just hoping they get past PSA's eyes. And you've got guys, this is terrifying, they have multiple PSA accounts, so that if one gets flagged, they just move on to their next PSA account and submit with that. And I'm like, dude, that's wild. That's crazy. Like that sounds like scummy behavior. So I agree with Deej that the lack of transparency bothers me, but it also bothers me in general that it's happening, because first of all, a little bit as like a purist, I think a lot of cards are being permanently ruined in my eyes, and they're not being identified. They're not being labeled. They're not being stuck. There's not a sticker on it. So one day, everybody that has all these altered cards in their collection, even if they know that they're altered and it's just for their personal collection, they go sell their collection and then no one knows, like, or they tell the next person, but then that person doesn't tell when they sell it. Like, all
That's
it
the
takes is
real
like
problem.
one step away, and now no one knows what they're getting. It's
Like
just
in the Black Label Charizard example, like if the person was honest and they labeled it altered and sold it for less, somebody's going to see that and be like, okay, I'm buying that, and then I'm just going to resell it as not altered and make the profit myself. Like
exactly. And
it's a real problem.
you guys all know from a previous live that we did, I've spent some time degenning on whatnot. The amount of people that are just like, oh, that's not a big deal, I can buff that out, or oh, those are just light scratches, easy, I can polish those out, or oh, that's a tiny crease, piece
Yeah.
of cake, that corner's flipping up and I can flatten that out. Like the amount of times that pops up now is so disturbing.
It's so
Six
normalized.
months ago, I didn't even hardly hear anybody talking about it. Now it's everybody. And I don't know. It's just it's concerning because I don't want altered cards in my collection, and I think I'd rather actually have a card that's a little bit cooked, but is like preserved in its original form than one that's been worked on. But that's
Yeah.
me.
No, I definitely hear you guys. I definitely appreciate the perspective. And I do agree to it to a certain extent. Like I I guess where we differ is like I would be okay with a new cert vintage card, even if there is that concern, because once I know PSA is far from perfect, as we have experienced very recently, but if they authenticate the card and the quality, then for me that's enough to say for myself that this card is authentic. But I totally get it. I do think I would agree that a lot of new cert vintage is probably been cleaned one way or another or altered. And I completely appreciate that concern. I really think like when we talk about like it is very driven by money, like absolutely. Like there's
Yeah. I mean, it is
I've
what
kind
it
of
is.
yeah, I think like the three of us have kind of been like in the money side and the collector side of things. Like we have our personal collections and then we, grade and sell some things from time to time too. Um, I think that like when you're really only in it for the money, then like your ethical standards might be a little bit lower. And I think I do think there's a lot of nuance. I do think there's a lot of opinions in this discussion. But if I saw anything that kind of made it look like two different groups, it was collectors versus resellers. And I think it's kind of like the same mentality where like this is not necessarily my perspective, but if you're a vendor and you're selling a card that has a little bit of whitening, and somebody's looking at it, like it's like that mentality of like, oh, I hope they don't see that whitening, or like I hope they don't see that scratch. When in reality, you should be honest about it and let them know what the card is. But a lot of them will do final sale once we make the transaction. Like there's no returns, and I think that's what's difficult about this market is like it's so unregulated, right? Like in other fields or in other industries, like you mentioned, Deej, like this stuff would be illegal. Like if you misrepresent a product in a lot of other industries, like that is fraud, right?
Yeah.
So I absolutely get it. I think it's just like it's just so like this hobby is so undefined and this market is so undefined, and I think we don't have to transition to this, but I think we're talking about that Cramorant like full art that GameStop was valuing at like $650, probably because
Yeah.
somebody like made a fake purchase on eBay and
Yep.
like you might get your eBay account banned, but that stuff's not illegal and it probably should be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, the unregulated market side of things can make this hobby a little more dangerous to navigate. But yeah, I think for me, I'm sad to see all the altering. I think a lot of cards too now are actually being permanently changed, which is unfortunate because it's like it's almost a loss. It's reducing the supply of like untainted cards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All to make a quick buck now. Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, what did you really do? You didn't actually give the market more. Like if I take a card and I'm some sort of wizard with card altering, and I can take a card that would have been, a PSA, I don't know, 4 or something like that with a crease. And I get the crease out of it. That one probably wouldn't even get a PSA 1. But if, let's say I get the crease out successfully, like I'm some sort of wizard with it, send it off to PSA, they don't catch it. You know, they're spending less than a minute on each card anyway, so they're just busting through them like crazy. Next thing you know, that sucker's in a PSA 8 slab. Well, people, you know, the person who graded it, it's a win for them. They just made a bunch of money. But the person that buys it, they don't even know that it's been altered. They probably are expecting that they just got a card that was taken well care of over the years and then recently got graded. So they're getting ripped off. But then also the market just, one more like what I would say like authentic unaltered card is just gone from the market, right? Even though it was lower grade, it's still just gone now. It's been stuck into a slab. It's permanently changed. And I think that part also bothers me, like the purist in me, like the pure, like historical collector kind of sides. Like, I just want to preserve these in the state, the best state that they're in, but not change them. And a lot of people I've heard in the comment sections are like, well, if you restore a car, it's no big deal. Or wouldn't you wax your paint job on your car? I was like, but this is the difference. Is there's like a complex, it's this complex machine that is worth a lot more than the paint job. Like the paint job is just a fraction of the value of the vehicle. Most of the vehicle is, you know, the value is in, you know, it being able to drive and the quality of the interior and the quality of the mechanics, all that kind of stuff. How well it was maintained is actually usually far more valuable. The paint job is like, yeah, it adds a little more eye appeal, and it's normal to wax your car. That's already, everybody's been doing that since cars came out 100 years ago. Like that's a standard practice. It's not a standard practice to wax your cards, and grading companies don't allow it. You know what I mean? Like if they detected that you did, they wouldn't allow it. So I don't feel like it's a similar thing. And if you restore a car, like if you have to actually go get replacement parts and restore and change it, you sell it as a restored vehicle.
Yeah.
So that the buyer knows, and buyer can open up the hood and look at the parts and be like, oh yeah, this thing's been restored, right? They can tell that it's not original. But with a card, it's much harder. There's less material to work with. It's more microscopic.
So much deceit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I just feel like when people give me that argument, I'm like, these are not equivalent things. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think the argument for cars works for the argument with cards.
I agree. I also think that, you know, like we said, like people would rather have a card that hasn't been altered, if it's authentic, if it's the same grade, right? We'd rather have the original unaltered card. And I think when you look at like the used car market, like restored cars have like restored cars have a demand, right? It's like,
absolutely,
put a new engine in this, it's going to run for a lot longer. It has like a utilitarian aspect to it. Like I want to drive this thing, it looks cool. So I agree, like there really isn't a perfect comparison. Like I think when we first had this discussion, I talked about going to a museum and like that there's Egyptian ruins that have been restored, and like maybe that's a little bit better than the car, but I don't, it's not one for one. Like this stuff is completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a question for you, Mike, because as I rewatched your video again today or last night to get some more questions. And one thing you made pretty clear, and you said it again tonight, was if PSA grades it and it gets through, then it's authentic and it's not going to bother you at all. What if I told you that I know somebody who literally uses their kids' markers to get whitening off of cards, and PSA has given them tens, dozens of times, and those cards got through? You'd still be fine with having one of those? And like at some point you looked at it and you're like, because there's even some where like the time when he's gotten marked as altered, like it got on the spine of the card, like this, where you can actually see the marking. But there's some that have gotten through where you can still see it there. The grader didn't notice. And like they say they use black lights or whatever, but I mean, I don't know. They obviously don't all the time, because I know somebody specifically who's done this.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to hear that people have gotten away with that. If I paid a premium for a PSA 10 vintage card, and then I get it, and I can see on the spine of the card that somebody used a blue Sharpie to fill in whitening, I would be pretty upset. I'm not gonna lie. So I think that's a fair exception. And I think that really is like when it comes like it sucks that PSA isn't just better at their jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
Like there was that viral Alolan Persian a few years back where somebody drew like an inappropriate image on the Persian's face, and like
they didn't even catch it.
They still authenticated it. Yeah, it's like I understand they have so much volume. Like when I do a submission, like I'll do like the sometimes I'll do the regular tier with the value bulk, and just in between those two submissions that I'm literally doing back to back, like I'll see the submission number jump 45, right? So it's like they're probably getting 500 submissions an hour. So they get so much, and not to make an excuse, but it's just like it's unfortunate they're not better, because sometimes I'll even for vending or for something else, I'll order a PSA 10 of a card just based on like somebody's photos, and then I get it and it's like way off centered, and it's like, man, this wasn't really the PSA 10 I wanted in my collection. It's like a miracle this card got a PSA 10. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things where I think that's a fair exception. You definitely got me there. If PSA fails to do their job and properly authenticate a card, then I would be really disappointed in like the restoration or half-assed restoration of a Sharpie or whatever.
Altering, really. Yeah, they're adding something new to it, right?
Yeah,
and I mean, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about cert numbers. Again, why Deej and I trust the new certs way less, and I'm concerned in the future. What happens when if the market wakes up to this, if this altering has become so popular, PSA's allowed so many of these through, and then finally, Deej has talked about this, maybe PSA switches to AI grading or something like that, and AI gets good enough, has the right sensors and detection to say, oh, yep, we can pick up all this alteration. Well, now you have a whole like millions of cards within a certain cert range that are all up in the air. So it's like these can have like cataclysmic effects on the market too, and people's confidence. So I think even people that are money driven are actually being short-minded, or like short-term minded instead of long-term minded in this, because you really need to have confidence at the center of collecting for it to do well long-term. If people lose confidence in the authenticity of things, or if in their originality, like all the prices kind of drop to nothing. I mean, like you can see, I don't want to make it sound like it's Armageddon, but I do think it could have a legitimate effect on the hobby in the future and on the popularity of grading. I think we might be in a bit of a grading bubble. Like it seems like the thing that we do now is just grade everything. And anything that possibly can get a 10, boom, put it in a slab. And it's like, maybe we're overvaluing these. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, that's a little side note, but
no, I think that's a good point. I do think like there would need to be a real wave of distrust in regards to PSA for them to really take a hit. It's kind of like I kind of like see them as like Amazon, where it's like they can have 1,000,001 small controversies, but so many people use it that it's like it doesn't really make a big ripple effect. But if there's something like significant where some study comes out that like 40% of new cert vintage cards have been altered, or we find out that there's something scummy going on with the GameStop power packs and the changing of grades and whatnot, then I could see something like that having a drastic effect. And I like, as much as I only grade with PSA, I would love to see some more competition. Like I think
100%.
CGC slabs, I don't like the label, but they're nice and thick. BGS, I like the way that feels in my hand. Tag looks crisp. I just don't know if there's a lot of market value there for me personally. I know some people use all the graders and tag sometimes goes for a good premium, but I would love some competition. And I'm not saying I'm preying on PSA's downfall, but if we can kind of get to a point where they're held to a better standard, I think it would be better for the hobby as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely want to talk some more about PSA in general and competition, but I know, Deej, I think, did you have some other questions you wanted to talk to you about altering before we transition to that?
No, I think I pretty much covered what I think. I just want to say, like, I think it's important for people like us with influence. I mean, like, we're all small YouTubers, but like, I think we have trusted voices, and what we say is going to spread. Like, it's like for these resellers that are saying, oh, it's no problem. Like, that needs to change. Like, in their minds, there needs to be a seed of doubt. Like, it's not okay. You're deceiving somebody.
You are.
It would be illegal. Like, it just is so normalized with all these shorts and YouTube channels literally dedicated to teaching people how to do this themselves. And it's just so normalized. It's just not cool. Like, I just think there shouldn't be people saying it's perfectly fine. Like, that is, there has to be some gray area.
Thing too is like there's gonna be a gray area for what people allow, but a lot of what's happening that's being accepted, I think if people really stop and thought about what they just did, there would be that little piece of their conscience that would go, I don't know if that was okay. Like, and I think people are shutting that down for the sake of money right now. But I think a lot of people probably secretly are like,
they know.
They had that feeling at first and they blew past it.
Yeah.
And now they're into the zone where they're no longer listening to their conscience, but I think most people
created businesses. Their livelihood depends on this lie now. Like,
yeah, no, it is. I mean, greed is a powerful vehicle, right? But there were a couple vendors that like unequivocally said, yes, we should always be transparent. So I like to think that there's some hope out there. And hopefully like that, because I like the ones that said that, like they're also like the most popular vendors in the area. They have like the biggest appreciation. So
they care about their reputation.
Exactly. So I would like to think that that is a good indicator of, transparency being what people begin to opt for as this inevitably begins to be a bigger concern in the hobby.
I do want to mention one thing too, just for any of the viewers. We talked a lot about, the ramifications of altered cards for the sake of grading, right? But I think this is heavily affecting the raw market right now, because I think a lot of these people, rather than restore the card and take the chance that PSA may flag it as altered, they're just selling it as altered to you, hoping that you will then send it into PSA and you'll be the one to find out if it's altered or not. So I think that's unfortunate. I think this affects binder collectors just as much as it affects slab collectors right now. And that's part of the reason why this feels so devious to me, is like, if you just want an original raw card preserved the way that it's been all these years in somebody's binder, and you don't want something that's been modified, it's sketchy right now buying anything. You just don't really know what you're getting.
Yeah, no, I think I don't want to, stop us from transitioning to the next topic, but I guess like the last thing I'll say is, I agree. Like, I wonder too, like when cards go for above 200 or 250 or whatever it is, and it's a raw card, like if eBay's authentication system is up to par in recognizing that stuff. But with eBay photos,
can I be honest?
You can't tell much of anything with eBay photos. So
I think PSA does eBay's authentication.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
So but I think that it's probably not up to snuff.
Yeah, like there. I agree.
It's not as up to snuff as PSA is. I'm pretty sure eBay contracts with PSA. I know the slabs at least are being verified by PSA, but I think they're probably utilizing them as well for the raw.
Okay.
Just to make sure it's authentic.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I know that there is like this kind of thought process with eBay sellers, where once a card goes to eBay authentication, they're far less likely to have to deal with a return or whatever. So it's like
Yep.
when it
Which
passes through
makes it
that,
more dangerous.
clear.
Because
Yeah,
if they don't catch that it's altered, but you catch that it's altered once you get it, you're sunk.
100%.
It's the
Which
get
is
out of
really
jail free
unfortunate.
card with no punishment other than you just lose the sale. Like,
Yep.
it's the same with PSA. You do have to pay the grading fee still if they catch it, but those people don't care at all. They're just going to resend it again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I thought this was only happening with vintage, but I will say I think it's happening quite a bit with modern. It's less
for sure.
modified with modern because no one needs to get creases out or stuff like that, but people are definitely modifying corners and those sorts of things, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, we can transition topics, something a little bit maybe a little less frustrating. Let's talk about PSA. So if you guys are unaware, I'm sure you probably have all heard PSA released a statement, I don't know, like midnight last night or something like that. They are raising their prices essentially. They're getting rid of the TCG bulk tier. Used to be, they've raised that already like 2 or 3 times in a year, I want to say. I know 2024, I was grading for $15 a piece, sometimes down to $12 a piece or 13, depending on the special they'd run.
monthly sale. Yeah.
Now it's 19. It's been $19 a piece. Now they're just getting rid of that altogether. They're combining it with the value, and both of those are now going to be $24.99. So $6 increase, which is, what is that percent wise?
It's like 30. I mean, 33%.
33. Yeah,
Ish.
which is pretty huge. So, yeah, let's talk about it. What's you guys' thoughts on that? I should preface, they put out a whole statement saying that the reason for this is that they've still got unprecedented demand. They're getting huge amounts of submissions. They're struggling to keep up with their slated promise times. What would you call it? The times where they promise to get the turnaround times. Thank you. Turnaround times. They're struggling to keep up with those, etc. So that's their reasoning. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, it obviously sucks. like $6 a card is a big difference. Like, you can grade through CGC for $8.50 through Catch 'em All Collectibles as Fanatics auctions, and like that's like you're literally
crazy. $25 to $8.50.
Like, it's literally the increase of an entire grading fee, basically.
You can send 3 cards to CGC through Catch 'em All Collectibles for the price of 1 to PSA.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
So, I mean, to me, I'm probably not going to change tax for the way that I sell and grade cards personally, because people still are going to want the cards, and I'm just going to have to make the price accordingly. I mean, when people negotiate with me, I'm like, well, grading costs $25, fees are going to be at least, $7 with shipping and whatever. Like, I have to make something, like, and most of the time people understand that. So, like, to me, it might slow down grading. I'm not 100% sure it will, but to me, it doesn't scare me off because PSA is just so much easier to sell, and the premium is there. And this probably is going to create more of a premium, like I said, because like it costs more to create. So I hate it.
Since our viewers may not be familiar with you, Mike, do you want to give just a little background too on your experience grading? Because I know you've done a lot of grading yourself as well, but maybe you can just kind of share a little bit with people. Where your grading journey's been.
I've been grading since about 2023, and I mean, I used to do it just for like personal collection items, and then I started to resell some stuff, and I used to buy like large TCG player orders, before GameStop started doing grading, and it became like pretty mainstream. I mean, it was popular, but I think once GameStop started doing it, like everybody was doing it, right? I would just buy like 10 IRs of any given IR, and like maybe 2 to 3 of them would be like 10 worthy, and it was sometimes I would take a loss on the raw cards, flipping them onto eBay, but it was fun. And like, so I've done that for a while. Recently I've scaled a lot. Like I have some friends who they supply a lot of packs to streamers, so they're buying a lot of product, and they buy it like 70%, probably just buying off of scalpers who just want to dump their stuff. And they'll break down the boxes, sell the packs to streamers, and then me and a couple other friends will buy the promos. So we've been submitting a lot of promo cards.
Nice.
Submitted 80 of the Gengar EXs from the Gengar deck, and then about 40 each of the Umbreon and Espeon full art from the Prismatic collection.
The figure collection.
Yeah, the figure collection. Quality on those are great, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
And other times we've gotten kind of screwed. Like I think the Haunter and the Victini, I think like 8% of those were worth sending. But anyways, yeah, all that to say is like I grade quite a lot. I have 12 submissions at PSA right now.
Wow, that's huge.
So yeah, and I'm glad I sent them off before this.
No kidding. I have a big stack over there that
I just sent off like 300 last week, so I'm happy about that. I have 650 cards at PSA right now.
Yeah,
I'm very thankful that they're already there.
yeah. I recently sent one off.
So many more.
Hey, Cal.
But I guess like for me, I'm just gonna be more careful. Like sometimes I'll throw in some cheaper cards that are maybe like a $40-$50 PSA 10 just to hit that 20 value bulk parameter, because I want to get as many submissions out as possible. But I'm going to be much more careful. Like I know like Dee's your wizard with grading like the lower value commons and reverse hollows and stuff. And I was already nervous doing that. I've had some luck doing it from time to time. And now I'm like, it gets much scarier for me. And
it does.
I think you have like stronger liquidity, and like your eBay store's kind of gotten some like algo traction, I feel like in that regard. So yeah, I mean he
is selling his faster than I am, I'll say that.
Yeah,
but he's got more in his store at any given time.
I think that's
for people to shop through.
But like to spend 25, like say you buy a card for $5, you spend 25 to grade it, and the PSA 10's $40-$45, and it takes you 4 months to get it back. It's like it becomes a tough proposition. So I think I'm still going to grade with PSA. I'm
makes sense,
but I think I'm just going to try to be more value conscientious of that stuff. Like just graded the Mega Lucario from Mega Evolution, and I put it in the higher tier just because I knew it was like a $350 PSA 10, and I knew it had like an extremely strong chance of 10ing. So that was an instance where I'm already paying $75 for the grade, right? Because I know the margin's there. So if that still exists, then I'm still gonna go with PSA. I guess really quick, my only two concerns are like, one, what just stops them from continuing to do this again and again and again until it's $40 a card?
Yep.
And like there has to be a breaking point for people at a certain point. And two, at least like my initial reaction was just like, oh, more greed. You guys are really busy. You want more money. I get it. But then Z&G Emporium uploaded a video. I don't know if you guys checked that out. Yeah. He said that they're kind of like really trying to discourage people from grading because they have so much to grade. And he's
worried is to turn the spigot off,
Yeah. And he's worried they're going to shut down again. And I know that COVID had something to do with that when it happened in 2020. But yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy if they shut down. That would be a real opportunity for like CGC or Tag or somebody to really pick up their game. But
I think that was part of CGC's growth the last turnaround. I think
that's what got me into
it. Grew a lot back during COVID, post-COVID. But yeah, I mean, I think they absolutely, to me, just reading the statement they had on their website, I was like, yeah, they're clearly just trying to slow down submissions, right? By raising the price. Yeah. Instead of doing a lottery system or longer turnarounds, which just kicks the can down the road, they're basically just saying, well, let's see what happens if we just raise the price a bunch and get less people to submit. Because it does put pressure on casual collectors that probably won't submit as much. I would guess GameStop will also raise their prices eventually. They probably have like prices locked in for some certain period. So GameStop might be the sweet spot right now until they have to modify theirs. I don't know how that works. But there was a lot of chatter on the Discord about like, oh, we're just never getting the prices coming down. This is going to be it forever. It's going to go up forever.
Yeah.
I really don't think so. I think this is temporary. I think we're in an insane boom right now. I do believe that the market's going to do what every market in history has done, where it eventually pulls back and popularity will pull back and prices will have to cheapen. PSA has done this through cycles. They increased their prices through COVID, and then they decreased their prices after when they went into the bear market, and then they've increased them slowly through this bull market, or in this case, not so slowly. But I think it's all them trying to lower the demand for their services. The thing about it is, and I got to thinking about this from a business standpoint, a lot of people would probably say, well, why don't you guys just double your grading output? Like just hire more people, buy more facilities, and just, grade more cards. Because they could do that. But I think they're already struggling with their consistency. It's an absolute mess, in my opinion, right now. Like my PSA inconsistency video that I put out like about a month ago just shows the results of that experiment. It's all over the place. I think they're really inconsistent because they probably have a lot of new graders that are frankly being too picky.
Different people. Yeah.
And so a lot of cards are just getting kicked out, which it hurts even worse now that you're paying more for PSA cards than you did before. So they already run the risk of their consistency is bad. They probably already know this internally. They're just never going to admit it. And if they double the volume or hire more graders, how do you keep consistency? But then I think the other piece is they're probably just like Pokemon, afraid that this boom will die faster than it began. Because I think Pokemon's been afraid to expand their printing too quickly, because they're like, well, what if we overprint and then we crash the market and kill everything? I think PSA is probably thinking the same thing. We don't want to overexpand. A bear market come, and now we have all these people we have to lay off, all these facilities we have to sell.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a dicey thing, and I think for the easiest solution for them is just crank up the price. But for us, it sucks because I feel like I'm getting the worst service from PSA I've ever gotten for the highest price.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, and it's you guys are both going to keep submitting for sure. I'm like a little on the fence, if I'm honest.
I probably will be a little more strict. Like every once in a while, I'll let like one little corner whitening on one of my commons go. I probably won't do that anymore because the 9 will be that much more punishing.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the
crazy
thing is like, I've seen some PSA 6s come back from PSA recently that I'm like, how is that a 6? Like, these are vintage cards. They have a little hollow foil scratches on them. I'm like, dude, that's easily a 7 or 8. And somebody might be like, you're splitting hairs there. I'm like, but I've looked at a lot of slabs over time, and they're getting stricter. They have a stricter set of graders there. I don't think it's all of them, but I think all the new people that they've hired are more strict. They're used to looking at modern. They're used to being strict about these things, and maybe they are internally pushing stricter grading. But the thing that I've always been trying to get in people's heads for like the past 2 years, and I see it all the time, is people will look at a PSA 10, they'll be like, that's not a PSA 10. That card's off center. That card's got white on the corner. That card's not perfect. I was like, no kidding. PSA 10s have never, ever been perfect cards. Ever. Yeah. They've always been like the 91% to the 99% cards. Like they're just over the 9 threshold and into the more gem mint territory, but they're not perfect and they've never meant to be. And so it's frustrating when PSA's own website still says the same things, but you send in cards and now they're graded more harshly. It's like, well, then I might as well send to CGC and get a pristine if I've got a really sharp copy, or send into Beckett and get a pristine or a black label, or send a tag and get a high level pristine or a high rated gem grade with the full report or anything. It's kind of like why, like PSA, the thing that made PSA the sauce is kind of being ripped off in a lot of ways, I think. But I've ranted on too much, but there's my thoughts on this whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think you made some really, really good points. I mean, just to talk about the inconsistencies really quick, like I had a submission, I think it was right when Journey came out.
Okay.
And it was a lot of Journey IRs and SIRs. And it was the first submission where I took a loss. I got absolutely cooked. And there were like 4 or 5 cards where I looked at, like I got them in the mail. There were 9s. I looked at them back and front. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like this is a 10. I cracked it open. I send them into my next submission, and 4 of those 5 that I just resent got 10s the next time.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
like
that insane?
it's really just like a luck of the draw a lot of the time.
It is.
But I agree. I mean, I don't know how soon the prices are going to go down, but I do think that they will eventually. And I think a big reason is a lot of the demand recently is from One Piece. Like One Piece has absolutely exploded, especially in the last 4 or 5 months, and people have been grading a lot of it. But
Interesting.
I'm sure there are a lot of One Piece fans that swear by it, right? But I look at the fact that the main character, Monkey Luffy,
Monkey D. Luffy. Yeah.
Monkey D. Luffy has like over 350 unique cards already, and the TCG is like 4 years old. I'm like, could you imagine if like by 2002 we had 400 different Charizard cards? Like
that's great. How do you care about all those?
Exactly. So I feel like I think
very interesting point.
One Piece is going to experience like the mid-era Pokemon bear market eventually, and people are just going to stop caring, and like people are going to stop grading it too. And some of the cards are going for so like insane prices. Like I know very little about One Piece, so I'm sure there's a One Piece fan out there that would like to give me a piece of their mind, but
I love it.
It's like, yeah, I think like that, and like people have been grading Dragon Ball Z more too. Like all the other TCGs have kind of like it's like the Pokemon wave is like also there's all these other boats, right? And like everybody's grading all their stuff, and I think that's part of it. So I do think for that reason, I do believe that hopefully, God willing, the prices will go down again.
Yeah,
I hadn't really thought about it like that. Like there's Pokemon's printing a certain amount, and like if you look at their chart they put out today, it's been actually pretty stable for a while. But now that there's other TCGs that are adding just a billion more cards to the pool that could be graded, like that, I think you're right. Like that, I really didn't think about it like that. It's probably not people sending more Pokemon cards.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
like people are still sending a lot of Pokemon, probably more than anything else. But
consistently, what it's been the past year, like people can't even get their hands on that many cards,
Yeah, and I'll say like 75 to 80% of the big vendors in the Austin, Texas area, they've all started carrying One Piece too, because it's just like the thing. Like,
yeah.
Even if they don't know anything about it, it just is like kind of where the market starts.
It's a hot new thing on the market. Yeah,
exactly.
Latest craze. Well, I think it's interesting because that is a genius point, by the way. I think you're probably right. I think that is driving PSA's backlog up big time. But I think also the same kind of thing applies to printing, because a lot of these printing facilities are shared by multiple TCGs. And so when their numbers go up, Pokemon can't like use the extra space or the extra resource. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think part of them wanting to buy that new facility probably is to give themselves more space that's just dedicated to them as well. Because I think some of I don't know exactly how it all works, but like Millennium Print Group, I think prints for multiple TCGs. So I would guess they have contracts to give so much amount to Pokemon, so much amount to other card games. So it's like if everybody's running hot right now, where do you get more capacity? Everybody's fighting each other for the printer.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think TCGs they're big right now, and
crazy.
I like Pokemon's really sustained this kind of I mean, it feels like the same bull run. Like things kind of chilled out during the holidays, but like we're some moderns dipped a little bit, but for the most part, like Pokemon's still big. And I just it feels like I do think Pokemon will see another traditional bear market maybe after the 30th, but I feel much more confident in some of these other TCGs like One Piece coming back down to earth, especially some of these cards that are selling for like 20 grand and it's like a 2-year-old card. It's like that stuff's just not sustainable. Like it's
I
got
don't know where some of these people are getting their money, man. Like it's crazy.
When we were talking about earlier about like new cert vintage cards, I was like, I would love to be wealthy enough someday where I can just get a Team Rocket first edition booster box and like rip it.
Oh yeah,
we're not anywhere close to that.
Epic, dude. Honestly, just about any WotC box would be so much fun to rip. But yeah, you have to be filthy rich to justify that,
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, I don't know. PSA is in an interesting place right now, though. I don't know. I got more thoughts on them some other time, but I think these prices are here to stay for a while, but I don't think they're here to stay long term. Personally, that's me. I think I think when the market cools down, I don't know when that'll be. Maybe it takes another year. Maybe it takes longer. Maybe it's less. But I think demand will come down a little bit, and then prices will come down.
I hope you're right. I really doubt it. I feel completely different. Why would they come down?
Because if demand comes down, they got to get demand back up. And the way they've always done that was with specials.
In a way, if they come down, it devalues all the cards that they graded for $25 because of what I just explained, where if my cost is $25, then I have to sell it for $45 to make it worth my time. So if they go back down, then it just screws all the people. Like
you're thinking about mostly cards that are worth 2 cents raw, or 45 to 150 in a 10 because they're super low pop. I don't think PSA is even considering your case. I think they're looking at the mass produced SIRs, IRs, they're all selling in the like $100 to $1,000 range. What's $5?
Well, these cards all have to be under 500. So,
right. But everybody just submits. They just throw it all under bulk and then they get upcharged when, PSA decides to upcharge them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't think, I don't think they're considering the $45 card use case. I don't think it's really on their radar because I don't think it drives the market. I think it's important to certain collectors, but the vast majority of people are chasing those IRs and SIRs.
I think if anything, they'll do a monthly special. I really just don't see them going back with inflation. Just like, I know you're saying demand, but why would demand go down?
So I'm not saying they'll go back to $12 or even
even 20,
but I could see them going back down to 19.
But it's like we just talked about. It's not just Pokemon anymore. It's One Piece, it's Dragon Ball, it's Gundam. Like it's all these other TCGs that Yu-Gi-Oh is getting hot again. Like I just think overall, like the demand is so strong for PSA slabs. I have a hard time seeing them choosing to go back down when people are easily, like I said, I'm not changing. Some people might do less, but like the people that are actually have businesses, they're not changing anything. And those are the people that are really making PSA money. It's not these 20 card subs, it's the people sending 500.
But at the end of the day, people have to buy from those vendors, right? So if the market cools off, if less people are buying, less people submit, it all kind of trickles down.
You're right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
you're right. People were saying that when it went from 10 to 15 and it never went back ever. It just went more expensive. And there was bear markets in that time period.
Yes, but we did have inflation built into that. I don't think we're still having inflation that's taking us from 19 to 25. I don't think inflation's the reason for that. It's just that they've got way too much demand. You know what I mean?
I hope you're right, sir.
I guess time will tell. Deej and I actually, for a
Maybe we should
change,
do a bet.
disagree with one another on something, so this is kind of fun. But I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, Mike. Do you think they'll ever come down?
I think that there's a chance that they'll come down if there is just a substantial bear market. But the problem is like for the higher value cards, the margin is still there at $25. Where like if you're grading a slab that's going to come out to be a $200-$300 or more, like $5 more at the end of the day isn't really a big deal. And I think people like their volume will probably take a tick, like a little bit of a hit from this, but I don't think it's going to be like a crash. Like they just have such a stranglehold on the market. Like I think CG in 2025, CGC did 25% of the volume that PSA did, and like Beckett was like 4%. I think SGC was like 7%, and then Tag was like 2%. It's like they just have such a stranglehold on the market that it's like they can almost do whatever they want to a certain extent. I do think if it gets to the point where they're charging like $50 value bulk, people are going to say, all right, that's enough. Like I'm going to CGC. But so I am concerned. I do think if it goes down, it's going to be a while. I think we got to see like another true, like, 2023 bear market where we have 600 vivid voltage ETBs sitting on the shelf again. But we'll see.
I think we'll eventually get there.
I hope so. I hope it goes down.
It'll take a while. I guess I'm not saying I'm not giving any time frame. Like it probably won't go down for the next year. But at some point,
it's
we're going to hit
Rain said. Like, there's so many people that this is literally their job now. Like, they rely on this income. Like, the buying and selling isn't just like collectors. Like, it's vendors and buyers buying from each other to like find some way to.
If there's no buyers from them, then those people have to go find different jobs, right?
It's just
this same things happen to retail, right? Like if there's the demand from the consumer is gone in the retail space, businesses close down, employees get laid off. Like it happens all the time in the general market. There's nothing about Pokemon that will insulate it uniquely from that. And especially if we have, I think maybe you and I have talked a little bit about this, but not to get too off into the weeds with AI, but AI is going to replace a lot of people's jobs in the next 5 years. I think if you're sitting at a computer messing with forms all day, you might want to be worried. And I know that's kind of depressing, but it's like right now we have all this income to buy Pokemon cards. Well, what if I get laid off? Well, I stop buying Pokemon cards.
That's what it's going to take.
You know what I'm saying? But that could happen. Like something like that could be right around the door,
it could
right around the corner. A bad recession could be right around the corner. We've had recessions all throughout our history, every few years. Like they're cyclical. The markets are cyclical. Crypto could have a really, really bad drought, like it did, a few years back. Like you just don't really know what's going to happen.
Recently, Bitcoin's down 50%, and Pokemon is still on the way up. Like there's so many people that don't rely on outside jobs to buy Pokemon. Yes, like there is money being taken out of the hobby every day by these vendors to pay their bills. And it does require money being placed back in by people with jobs. But Target doesn't go buy stuff from Walmart. If you go to these shows, like these vendors are making deals with each other constantly. Like they probably sell more to other vendors than the people. I don't know. Mike, you probably could answer that question better than us, but like I think a lot of the business does come from within the businesses.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. I've done a lot of deals with other vendors, and there's a lot of buyouts that take place. There's one guy in Austin here that just has, I don't know where he gets all his money, but he'll pay you 90% and he'll take whatever you got. And he doesn't seem to ever run out of cash.
That's wild.
So yeah, there
Wow.
are people there. I mean, there's a lot of money there's a lot of business to business money. Also because you don't have to, pay the sales tax or report the sales tax when it's business to business. I think a that's a benefactor too. And I think there are people that kind of like get into vending irresponsibly and they cash out and they just sell their inventory to somebody else. And there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, I think the big stuff, the big slabs, they normally go to other people that are either also vending or somebody who has a good amount of money and is probably, grading, selling stuff on eBay, whatnot.
This is actually a perfect transition because one of the big topics we wanted to talk about was vending because I don't think Deez you've never vended. Yeah, I've never vended
never even
personally.
been to a
Neither one of
show.
us have ever vended, but Mike, you've been doing a lot of vending. We'd love to hear kind of about that. Like, how long have you been vending now?
Yeah, so it started not I haven't been doing it for a very long time comparatively, and I'm actually kind of taking a break now. Grading more and walking shows.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll try not to ramble too long. So I
No,
started
you're good.
I started in May of last year, and it all started because I was selling the bulk to a guy, and he told me that he takes the bulk and he vends card shows, and he like has a machine where he turns the bulk art into pins, and he sells the pins with like the bulk art on it, and which is pretty cool.
That's dope, actually. I like that.
Yeah, so he does that.
Appreciation for the bulk cards. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool art on there, and like I think good amount of people appreciate that stuff, but some people just throw their bulk away, or they do whatever with it. So that was cool. So he kind of told me that, and he said I could like split a table with him at his next show if I wanted to, because I thought about trying to vend. So I kind of went there. I brought some stuff that I was kind of like, not. It was PC stuff, but I was kind of collecting too much last year, so I wanted to trim things up a little bit, and I started getting into it. I will say what I really love about vending more than anything is becoming kind of ingrained in like the local community. Like you meet a lot of other vendors,
for sure,
who are like really passionate about Pokemon. You see repeat customers who come to a lot of different shows, and you kind of like establish like a rapport with them. Like as much as I love Discord and like the people I've met in the hobby on Discord, like I didn't really have a ton of face-to-face interaction in the hobby before I did vending. So that was a really cool aspect, because I never really played played the TCG a little bit when I was a kid, but I'm not somebody who goes to like an LGS to play Pokemon, right? So it's cool for that reason. And there's money to be made. Like generally the strategy is people price things at full market. If it's low pop vintage, you can price it above full market because there's not really a competitor out there, right? And they take stuff in at 75 to 80%. I generally always hit 80%. Some guys, I don't know how they do it, but they'll buy stuff at like 70%. And it really depends on the liquidity, right? If it's like a really highly in demand card like Van Gogh Pikachu was like so easy to sell for a portion of last year. Like people would pay 85 to 90% for that because they know they can sell it at 100 sometimes at the same show. So if you're smart with your inventory and you kind of keep the money organized, you can grow your money pretty quickly just from the nature of vending, buying at 80%, selling at 100. Say people negotiate you down 90 to 95, right? So that's a cool aspect of it. I think what tripped me up, the biggest complication for me was like whether or not to really combine my personal collection with my inventory.
Yeah, I would struggle with that.
That's what really stuck with me. And one of the sales I regret making was I had like my two biggest vintage cards. I had a PSA 10 Gold Star Raikou, and I had a PSA 10 first edition Neo Ho-Oh.
Oh yeah.
Had both those cards. I brought them to a show, just to like have some clout at the table. And the guy I told you about that always has money offered me like he was like, what, I want to buy those, like what's it going to take? And I'm like, you're going to have to give me way over comps because I don't want to sell them, basically is what I said. He gave me way over comps and he bought both of them, and
they both went up.
the way the market went, they went up way more after that.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, now it's like, so I made money on them too. Like I bought the Ho-Oh at 2.2K. I bought the Reikyu at 1.4K. I sold the Reikyu at 3K, and I sold the Ho-Oh at 4K. So
you made good money.
Yes,
Can't
and this
complain too much. Yeah,
but you won't probably get those back.
I won't.
As far as you won't get another copy.
No, because that Ho-Oh I sold for 4K is now going for like 7.5, and the Reikyu is like going for like 5, and it's like, I don't want to spend that money.
Yeah,
rough.
I regret some of the things I sold back in the day.
That's the tricky part, and those are like kind of like rails too. Like those are cards that I wish I still had, but you can't have the rear view mirror too much of a focus.
Yeah, you can't.
But it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of good people. And I will say the other downside is it's a lot of weekends. So you're spending a lot of time at shows. If you really want to take it seriously, you're generally traveling.
I was gonna say, are you doing just local, or are you doing bigger shows? Are you doing things like Collecticon or Front Row Card Show or any of those kind of things? Or
so most of my shows were in Austin.
Okay.
They do Cards and More show in Houston, which was pretty lucrative. People were willing to buy slabs there, which was cool. And then I did San Antonio Collecticon in December, which was my first and only Collecticon so far. So, and just for context, like San Antonio is like an 1.5-hour drive from Austin. Houston's like 2.5 hours. That's like as most as I was willing to travel. Like I know guys that, they just flew to Atlanta from Austin for Collecticon. They'll fly to Seattle sometimes, or wherever Card Party's at, and they have to be making enough money to justify it. And some of these guys, they have hundreds of thousands of dollars in slabs at their tables, and it's wild. I mean, especially if you
I've been to a couple Collecticons and a couple Front Row Card shows, and they're it's wild to see what some of these vendors have. Crazy.
So I mean, just to like summarize it, like I enjoy it. It's a good way to make money. For me personally, like my wife works a very busy job during the week. So like our weekends, like sometimes she works late into the evening, right? So she's a corporate lawyer. So she has a lot of hours. So the weekends are really the only time that we have together. So if I'm doing like 6 hours at a show on Saturday, then that really just cuts into that. So I'm kind of trying to reprioritize and keep it to eBay and grading and stuff. And I'm still walking shows to source gradable cards. That was the other thing that I liked about vending is there's a lot of casual collectors that will just sell you their cards, and they are very clean. Like
that's nice.
I got a Brilliant Stars Charizard that somebody sold me at 80%. I graded it and they got a 10. Like that was a huge win.
Nice.
So,
that part would be nice. The sourcing for grading would be phenomenal. And then having a exit for cards that you don't want to grade, right?
Yeah.
An easy exit. Yeah.
And deals will happen quickly though, so you do have to be careful. Like there was a point where somebody had like 2 mid-era bangers, but they were damaged. It was like Primal Kyogre and Primal Rayquaza, and I just kind of like looked at the TCG player evaluation, and I just like did the math wrong, and I ended up paying him more than I should have, and I took a loss on those 2. But that's just kind of like,
it's gonna happen
in
mistakes,
business.
right?
Yeah.
What did you find that you would like? Did you ever turn stuff away, like certain cards, certain eras, certain conditions? Kind of what was your philosophy on that? What have you found to be valuable for cards that you either want to buy or don't want to buy? Or
I generally preferred to buy like near mint, raw, or PSA PSA 10s.
Yeah.
I generally avoided 9s unless it was kind of an older card.
Yeah.
Just stuff that's like not really liquid, right? Like
Yep.
if it's damaged or heavily played, it has to be a really like highly desirable vintage card or mid-era card. And then a lot of sealed too. Like sealed was kind of stagnant last year, and like some of these people,
Interesting.
I feel like sealed doesn't sell as well at card shows. So I would buy like, you know, like a 151 ETB or like a prismatic ETB or something if they're willing to do 80%. But if somebody came in with like a Paradox Rift ETB or like an Astral Radiance booster box,
Yeah.
like, that's going to take me too long to sell. Like,
The liquidity's bad, so it's not worth tying up your capital, right?
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. It's more of an investment where you're trying to vend, you're trying to churn out things more,
like
more frequently.
So you'll see some crazy stuff. Like this is the last thing I'll say is like when I did Cards and More in Houston, this guy had like this clear box of cards in top loaders, and he said he didn't know what they were worth. Like he didn't know anything about them. They were his childhood cards. And I was like, and I saw the first card I saw was a Gold Star Rayquaza, and I was like, can I take a look at them? And he's like, yeah, this guy had. I think I might have posted about this in the Discord. It was a while back, but he had like 3 Gold Star Rayquazas. He had like 3 or 4 Crystal Lugias. All were like PSA.
That's right. I remember you showing that.
Yeah, all were like PSA 6 or better. And I was like, I told him like, listen, don't let anybody like you need to grade these. Don't let anybody like lowball you at this.
Yeah,
show.
that was good on you.
I just Googled the price charting really quick for the Gold Star Rayquaza just to show him. I'm like, this card. Yeah. You could like fold this card in half and it's still worth almost $1,000.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah.
He's sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he walked up to you and not some shady vendor instead, you know.
Exactly. If it was a different vendor, they could have been like, oh yeah, this is a nice collection. Like I'll give you like $5,000 for all of them right now. And that they could have turned around.
And they'd have been like, oh, that's amazing, $5,000. But then turns out they got, $25,000 worth of cards from them or something, you know.
Exactly.
Gold Star Ray. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to own that one at this point. Yeah. So sad.
I don't think so either.
I wanted to, but it's just, I don't think it's ever coming back down to earth. Well, that's fascinating, man. Thank you for sharing your experience with that. I found that really interesting.
Yeah,
it's definitely something I've wondered about doing. But what were the fees like? Like I imagine at local card shows probably not too expensive, but was it pretty expensive to pay the table fees and everything? Or
it wasn't too bad. It depends on the show. There was this kind of startup show in Austin called Hometown Card Show, and they kind of bounced around like different breweries and stuff. It started off like $40 for the table, and then you had to bring your own table and stuff. Generally the smaller shows are like $40 to $80, which isn't too bad if you're gonna make some good sales. Then Collecticon, I think market price or retail is like $300 for the table for the weekend. And
then the problem is just getting a table, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. There's a whole resale market for Collecticon tables. Like I saw somebody bought a Collecticon table for like $1,000, and it's like you better you better be making some great margin on whatever you're selling.
No kidding.
By that.
Wow.
Dang, that's crazy.
But there are Collecticon table scalpers who will buy like $10,000 worth of tables and sell them to people.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That's wild. That's when you know the market's a little too hot,
Yeah.
That's wild.
Did you have any follow-up questions on the vending?
No, I definitely learned a little bit more of the insight.
Yeah, that was cool.
No question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your experience, Mike. We appreciate it. We're both curious about that. Curious about your experience. Well, I don't want us to stay on too late. I know it's kind of getting late, especially for Central Time and East Coast viewers. So I was thinking we'd transition to our artist of the week. If you guys are ready for that. So this week's artist of the week. Let me share my screen. Drum roll. is Kagemaru Himeno. Man, they have been around forever. She has done illustrations for the TCG since 1996 when it premiered. So really fantastic old cards. You can see here all kinds of awesome vintage cards,
Ooh,
classic arts.
The evolutions. I didn't realize it was those.
I didn't realize that my Flareon from my childhood, the one that I was so stoked to pull, that she illustrated that. I never took the time to look at that, you know. That's part of why we're doing this,
crazy.
you know, just to enjoy these artists more, appreciate them more. I never knew the fossil Dragonite was Himeno too. And real quick, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to share one card that I brought, which is on screen right now, but let me flip it to
those promos, the Meowth and Psyduck. I didn't realize those WotC promos were.
Boom. This is a treasured card in my collection by Himeno. This is called the Not Awake Pikachu. Basically, it's an alternate birthday Pikachu, non-holo. Came out in a Japanese promo magazine. It was Not Awake Volume 6. I bought this card back in like 2013. I had a 10 at one point and I sold it. Kept the 9. Should have held on to the 10. But beautiful card. One of my favorite Pikachu arts of all time. Just super, super cute.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, me neither.
Cake.
That is
Drinking wine.
Really love this one. Notice too, there's the little blank. So this is like person's Pikachu. So it's like you get to fill in your name basically on the card is kind of the idea, right? So it's like your Pikachu, which is pretty cool. So
how much
really
is it worth
fun.
Now?
I think, you know, the last time I checked was like a year ago, and this card was like, I think 1,200. I'm sure it's a lot more now, because that was prior to the boom.
That's a very cool card.
So I'll have to wait. Why am I
find it crazy how many cards I just have never seen before still to this day.
I need to share more of my unnumbered promo collection, which is what this card's considered. I really love all these old Japanese promos from like back in the day. I'll have to share more of those sometime. But yeah, Himeno, she's done some incredible stuff. We can leaf through some pages here, and then I know you guys brought some cards to share, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a couple.
But yeah,
I only have
Psyduck. Super cool. A lot of Team Rocket there. That Charmeleon goes hard.
I got to tell you a funny story. So I got a message from Pokeball that we were doing Kogamaru. Dude, those vending series cards.
They're so good. The vending series is amazing.
Be seeing some of those in my
These are all vending. Yeah.
But like I was opening up a product for a video that I was recording that I haven't released yet. And in the video
right here, these have to do with it.
Yeah.
These cards right here. Spoiler.
Here, I'll just share mine.
Go for it. Let me unshare.
I pulled out these two cards and I was just like, I had never seen them before. And I was like,
they're so dope.
Like in my video, I'm like, Pokeball, write it down. This is going to be one of our artists. And literally he sent that to me that we were doing that this week. And I was like,
we were on the same wavelength without even talking.
Like, seriously?
That Arcanine is so cool. Both of those are great.
So dope.
But these are even different than the ones that were on the website because these have Squirtle stamps.
Yeah, so the website here actually does have the Squirtle stamp for those. I think those are actually, that one is unique. That Arcanine is unique to the Squirtle deck.
It almost looks like he's underwater. There's like
some of them are reprints from
bubbles,
vending, but that
those
one's
little white dots.
That one's unique, which is cool. It's cool. Dope. So cool.
And then just real quick, while I got you, I had these set aside. These were bought today.
Oh,
151
nice.
Sao Eradicate for
That's
$40.
Awesome.
And
sweet.
A Detective Pikachu Morlul for $55.
Dang.
Just to show you that it does happen.
Mr. D is just crushing it in the
like it's I have like 200 of them listed. So like when I have 2 sell a day, like it's a very small percentage, but it does happen pretty much every day. So
yeah, I've got my next
I'm gonna be not
my next step coming in is a lot of reverse hollows and non-hollows. So I'm a little bit anxious. I hope
with how crazy PSA is being right now.
Yeah, I hope they treat me well.
I hope so too. I genuinely do. What's up, Harrison? Long time no see, man.
Yo,
Rain, I'm gonna be not awake here pretty soon. That's good. We'll
Yeah.
try to wrap up here pretty quick. We'll probably only go for a few more minutes, but
I've got
yeah, they've done phenomenal art.
such good cards.
I have one Himeno
Wow, the
card.
Bayleaf.
Oh, look at this.
Oh
Neo
yeah,
Destiny, Houndoom, so good. Dark Houndoom, Ampharos, Dark Ampharos. Oh, some versus cards, so good, man. Yeah, you want to share your Himeno? Let's see. Let me
yeah.
unshare the screen, and then you'll have to change your camera down there to, or you can just pull it up in front of your.
Yeah, I'll just pull it up in front because I'm on my laptop here. But basically, this card. So I was looking through her cards, and I don't really have any of the modern ones. But I have a first edition Fossil Golduck PSA.
Nice. Heck yeah, that's sick.
And
That's dope.
the story behind this card is like when I was a little kid in the WotC era, collecting cards, I had a binder, and like one night I had a dream that I like went downstairs and opened my binder, and it was just like magically filled with all the base set, fossil jungle Pokemon cards. And
That's amazing.
obviously the next morning, I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. Next morning I look in my binder, it's not there. But
Oh no.
the card I remember in the dream seeing was this Golduck because I didn't have it. So I was like, now that I'm an adult with, adult money, I was like, I'm going to buy that card that I dreamed about, even though it's like not that rare or valuable.
I love it though.
Like I decided I would grab it.
Good for you, man. Golduck is such a sick Pokemon. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I was on here
story
raving about
is awesome.
about Misty's Golduck recently. I'm showing that one off. So I dig
That's
it.
exactly why I grade comments, man, because you just don't understand the connections that people have to these cards. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to share a couple more Himenos. So I brought the Dark Houndoom in my binder collection. I do love this card from Neo Destiny. It's a good one. And then this is really cool too that I picked up recently. A reverse holo Team Rocket Returns Horsey.
wow.
She did this one too. So pretty sick. And I love like all the different energies in the holo.
How much
Really
does
nice.
a reverse hollow Team Rockets returns card cost these days?
It definitely depends on which one. This is not a popular card. This one's I think sub $20. But some of the reverse hollow ones, man, are crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh, actually, real quick while I'm at it, we're kind of blending collecting time with artist time here. Show one more pickup that I was pretty stoked to get here recently. Boom.
Yeah.
Shining knocked out. I honestly love this card. I don't know why it took me so long to finally pick this one up for the binder, but I do want to get a PSA 9 first edition of this at some point. But
That's a great card.
I recently bought all my shinings because
Okay.
gold stars were out of reach, so I bought all my shinings. Like most of them near mint, not the Charizard. It was too much in near mint, but the shining Noctowl came in like 9 to 10 quality. I put it in my binder, but like I could grade that one. Like I was shocked that somebody sent me one that was so clean.
You should probably grade that. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, I could probably just rebuy it.
Or just leave it in your binder and grade it in 10 years and it'll be worth even more.
There
by
you
then.
go. Exactly.
You'll spend $50 at PSA at that point, but
no joke.
All right, real quick, we'll round this out with a little bit more. We'll just go over a few more cards because we showed mostly vintage. Guys, check out this website sometimes, this artofpkm.com. You can go check out all her cards there. She has a ton of stuff. 756 cards.
That's a lot of drawings.
27 pages. She has a lot of like ultra modern stuff too that she's done. Look at this Eevee.
The art really changed over the years.
It really did.
Like totally different.
Her older art was like a little more cartoonish. This one almost looks more polished.
Mm-hmm.
I think I personally prefer her vintage art better, but she still got some pretty sweet cards for modern.
This seems way less hand drawn.
Yeah. And I wonder if it still is, or if she's just using computer aid. It's got to be some sort of computer aid, I would assume.
I mean, so
Very
many of
interesting.
her vintage designs are like exactly what you think about when you think of fossil and jungle. Like, just
Yes.
Literally.
yeah,
Her old designs blend really well with Sugimori and Arita. Like,
yeah.
Wow. I'm
This
shocked to
one's
see
great,
these are
though.
the same. I have the that in a 10.
You
The
do this one?
promo version, the English promo version.
Nice.
The hollow. I think it was a
So-
McDonald's card, actually.
Yeah, it looks like she's been doing this art style for quite a while.
Ooh, that restaurant.
Oh, the restroom. Yeah, I didn't know she did this one.
It's a great card.
Wow.
It's a nice
That's
one.
a card I should have held on to that I sold back in like
I
2013.
have that one up there.
I regret all the cards I sold in 2013 and 2014. I think that's why
Yeah.
C Blonde like doesn't sell anything. He just buys. But yeah, fun artist, and it is interesting to see how they're. Oh, this is a reprint, isn't it?
It did look like that one we saw a second ago.
I
That
think
one's
it's a
hollow,
reprint,
though.
which is interesting.
So many of these Japanese cards are like so undervalued too. Like,
I need this Firo.
They are.
I saw like the I don't think it's this artist, but the Lance's Charizard from I don't know.
Celebrations?
That is. Yeah, no, the the one when they had like the level series. It was like level 46.
Oh yeah, way back when.
That card in a PSA 10 is only like $350, $400. I was like, you know, a 20-year-old Charizard, even though it's Japanese, like I really think these Japanese cards still have room to grow, especially in
100%. Especially in good quality.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude.
pretty cool. I do like her older art style better. Wow, look at this sharp.
Like, these are not English cards, are they? Like, I don't recognize so many of these cards, and I know there's a lot of holes I have in my binders, but like I've not seen so many of these.
Well, this is Diamond and Pearl era. I haven't spent much time in Diamond and Pearl.
I have cards from every set, but
that's true. You do. You're like mastering everything. That's amazing. There's the Team Rocket Returns one that I just showed you guys.
Yeah.
I love this melodic. I got to get this one. Big fan.
Maybe it's the non-yellow borders that's throwing me off. I definitely recognize a lot of them, but there's several that I just have never seen.
Yeah, these are great.
Lapras is great.
Yeah.
So good. Where's the Lapras? Oh, right here. Yeah. That is nice.
Legends.
You don't see Lapras diving underwater much, you know.
No,
it's really
it's
cool.
true.
I have that. I sold that card in reverse hollow in English. I had a 9. I got it from a Walgreens when I was like
really
13. Yeah.
And you still had it in your binder and it graded a 9 recently?
Yeah. Well,
That's
not recently. That was like one of the ways I started off my stores, by pilfering my binders.
That's fun. I can't get myself to pilfer my binder.
Well, I replace with cheaper, lightly played or moderately played damage, but yeah.
I only had one gradable card from my childhood collection, and it was my Shining Tyranitar. So if it was going to be one, that was the one to have it be. That's a nice Umbreon too. Anyway, we could go on for a long time, but probably beat this to a pulp. But yeah, fascinating artists. So definitely worth going and checking out Himeno, guys. Any other collection pickups you guys wanted to share real quick?
Yeah, I brought a few. Just some more recent, cheaper stuff that I got. I'm a big Gengar and Mewtwo collector.
Nice.
Recently, I picked up some cheaper Gengars. I got the 151.
Ooh, sweet.
Regular hollow and a
buy
PSA 10. Yeah.
Did you buy that one from Deej?
No, I didn't. I didn't lock at the eBay username.
I feel like Deej might be the only supplier of those right now.
No, not Gengars. Not Gengars.
That's true.
I got the Sword and Shield base Gengar.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that one.
10.
Great investments and collection pieces for sure.
Yeah, and then the 2022 Trick or Trade Gengar as well.
Oh,
Do you need the other trick or trade one? I'm
I,
selling one.
yeah, I can always use more Gengars. I don't have the other. That's the only Trick or Trade I have. So, yeah, maybe I know you wanted one of the McDonald's promos for Pikachu, right?
Oh yeah, I never did get one of those.
Maybe
Maybe
yeah.
we can work a trade, but here's what I've got if you're interested in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would take that. I really think these Gengars like that are like $100, $200 right now. They're low pop, and like years from now, people are gonna want low pop Gengars, and I think they're
I
gonna.
think you're right. Yeah.
Right. And then I got the 3 like biggest cards that I got of like the second half of last year.
All right, let's see them. This is exciting.
I got 2 of these at Collecticon. One was the PSA 10 versus Gengar.
Ooh, nice. That's dope. Wow, that must have cost you that card.
I got this for about 800, and it's already.
That's not bad.
I think there's sales at 1400, so it's been
nice work.
That's going nowhere but up. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's gone up.
That's fantastic.
One that I have taken a little bit of a loss on, but I'm not too upset about it because it's like a childhood card.
Yeah, Ancient Mew, nice.
And Ancient Mew. This card, obviously, there's a million of them, but despite how many were printed, I think the population is only like 2,500 to 3,000 or something like that.
Dude, the pop's low compared to how many people love that card.
Yeah, so I think this is going to age well too in 10. And then this card, I also got this at Collecticon, basically with a lot of the profit that I made. And this is like my grail is the Mewtwo.
Oh my goodness, you got a Mewtwo, dude?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And this is another card that shot up after I got it. This is like, I don't know. This was probably more than I should have spent on a single card, but it's one of those things that I think is going to age like insanely well. So
absolutely, man. Congratulations.
That's so many connections outside of the TCG. Yeah, it's
that's never gonna not be valuable.
Yeah,
YouTube, like that's an iconic card.
It's an Arita card, and it's got the whole connection to the movie and everything. So
it's so cool, so cool.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Rain says the best Mew. Probably with the Ancient Mew.
I agree.
I don't know. I think Shining Mew is my favorite personally, but he's got it right there.
Coral Mew is really good too.
Yeah, so that's the Shining Mew, the Coral.
Okay, and I do love the 151 promo as well, but
oh yeah,
I
wish I would have bought so many more of those.
Yeah,
151 promo I slept on, and I never got it in a 10. I have the Mewtwo in a 10, but I don't have the Coral or the 151. Excuse me, Mew. I just got a raw copy. Slept on that one.
Yeah, it's a great card.
It's better than grading 6 10s and selling them for like $70 a piece. And they're worth like what, 800 now, 600.
Is that what happened to you? You sold them all right away.
Yeah.
I think maybe Deej probably needs a little more of Seablon in him, and Seablon probably needs a little more of Deej in him.
I can use some Seablon for sure. There's a lot of stuff.
The hoarding mentality. I need a little more hoarding in me, right?
Yeah.
I think in like late 2023, I bought the 3 promos from the UPC and PSA 10 for like $250 all in. And now they're like, I think the cheapest. I don't know what the Metal Mew is going for, but the Mewtwo, I think
like 150.
Yeah, and the Mewtwo is
like,
I
literally sold some of those promos after I ripped them at a loss.
Yeah.
Like, I think I sold like one of those Mew promos for like $5, and like one of the Mewtwo's for $5. And then the Costco had the 151 UPCs, and I literally was like, nope, don't want them because they're too big. And they're like gigantic. They're like enormous to put in your closet. I'm still wish I just bought them anyway though, because
I mean, hey, if you're if you're a sealed investor watching this, for a long time, people looked at the 151 UPC like they're looking at the Mega Charizard UPC right now, and same with the Brilliant Stars UPC. UPCs always go through a cycle where they're like just bricks and nobody really wants them, and then a year or two go by and they're like widely in demand. And those promos obviously are going to age so well with the Charizard and the Oricorio? Is that how you say it?
Shinji Kondo.
See if I could access because I got some of those Charizard Ultra Premium collections from Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
I bought some of those at the bottom, but those are a little smaller than the 151. And when I bought them, they had already been out for a few years. So the 151 at the time, like that was the hard part, is that time in the hobby when they were like $90 at Costco, packs in general were cheap and most things were not really moving. So, anyway. Yeah, it's actually funny you say Akira Agawa, Harrison. We actually covered them. Was it last week or was it the week before?
It may have been more than one episode.
It was if you go back, you can always scroll to the end of our lives. We always do a featured artist at the end of each one, so it's kind of fun. But yeah, you can go back and just watch the end and see Akira Agawa. So we had some fun with that one. Well, cool, guys. We went pretty dang long tonight. Thanks for staying on with us, Mike. I appreciate it. We had a lot to talk about. Altering cards and PSA and vending and all kinds of stuff. But this is super fun. We really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, man. I had a great time. Appreciate you guys having me. Obviously, it's been great chatting on Discord, but it's cool to just have a little bit more of a personal conversation. And love to see what you guys are up to. Deej, I'm always following your grading, man. It's been I'm always impressed.
The master.
When I see some 30-cent cards selling for $150, man, I gotta hand it to you. It's
amazing. He's the value maximizer.
What can I say?
But no, I appreciate it, man. You guys ever want to have me back?
Easier.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back sometime, man.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
For sure. And like I said, if it's not already in the description, I'll make sure to link Mike's channel in the description. Make sure you guys go check it out, especially go check out that video recently that he did on card altering. It was really, really interesting, really well done. So
he's got a lot of great content, not just that one. And like this video for Pokeball.
Yeah, give me a like, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you all for jumping in. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Catch you guys in a couple weeks.
See you later.